You're about to hear one of the most touching stories of love and redemption in the entire Bible. And no, it's not a fairy tale. It's real, it's deep, and it can completely change the way you see new beginnings in life. Imagine a foreign woman, widowed, with no resources, in a land she doesn't know. Her name? Ruth, and her journey begins in sorrow, but ends in hope and honor. At the beginning of the book of Ruth, we're taken to Moab, where Naomi, an Israelite woman, is living after fleeing a time of famine in Israel. There, her sons marry Moabite women. One of them is Ruth. But tragedy strikes again and again. Naomi loses her husband and both of her sons and decides to return to Bethlehem, her homeland. This is when we witness the first powerful act of love in this story. Ruth chooses not to abandon Naomi, she says. "Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God." In that moment, Ruth not only shows loyalty, but she also steps onto a new path of faith. When they arrive in Bethlehem, Ruth and Naomi have nothing. So Ruth takes a bold step. She goes to the fields to glean leftover grain, a right granted to the poor by the law of Moses. But she doesn't end up in just any field. By divine providence, the field belongs to a man named Boaz, and that S where the plot begins to unfold. Boaz is a relative of Elimelech, Naomi's deceased husband. And by the law of the kinsman redeemer, he has the right to restore the family's name. But Boaz isn't just a wealthy man, he's honorable and kind. Quickly notices Ruth's character and her devotion. Instead of ignoring her, Boaz protects her, instructs his workers to leave extra grain for her on purpose, and even invites her to eat with him. At this point, the story becomes more than a romance. It begins to paint the image of a redeemer. Naomi, sensing something special about Boaz, tells Ruth to take a bold step, to lie down at Boaz's feet during the night, a symbolic act asking for protection and redemption. This moment is full of meaning. It's not a romantic gesture, but one of faith, humility, and trust in God's provision. Boaz, moved by Ruth's courage and purity, promises to do everything he can to redeem her. He goes to the city, navigates the legal customs, speaks with a closer relative who could claim that right, but the man refuses. So Boaz steps forward, honors his word, and marries Ruth. The foreign widow, once marked by loss and sorrow, now finds acceptance, dignity, and true love, all through the grace of a redeemer. But the ending is even more incredible. Ruth and Boaz have a son named Obed. He becomes the grandfather of King David. Yes, Ruth. The poor foreign widow becomes part of Israel's royal lineage. And more than that, she becomes an ancestor of Jesus Christ, the ultimate redeemer. This is not just a love story between two people, but a powerful reflection of God's redeeming love for us. Boaz is a symbol of Christ himself, who redeems those who cannot save themselves, who reaches out to the broken, the outsider, the forgotten. And Ruth reminds us that no matter where we come from, when we put our faith in the one true God, He can rewrite our story in ways we never imagined, for His glory. This story is a clear reminder: God forgets no one. Even in the darkest moments, He is working behind the scenes, aligning paths, setting up encounters, and building a future far greater than we could ever plan. Ruth and Boaz are more than just names from an ancient scroll. They are living symbols of a love that redeems, of hope that is reborn, and of purpose that blossoms even in the soil of sorrow. If you're going through loss, feeling out of place, or thinking your story is over, remember, with God, there is always a new beginning. And sometimes, that beginning starts exactly where everything seemed to end. If this message spoke to you, leave a like, share this video with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel for more Bible stories that touch the heart. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any life-changing revelations.